And the night after night, when you cannot find your way, I'll be waiting. Welcome to our cinema.
No, keep going. I like that song.
That was the end of it. That was the last.
Oh, that's right.
That was the last verse.
The last
Hey, Hits.
Hey,
I got a package in the mail.
Oh yeah, I had to go pick it up for you.
Yeah.
What is it?
They're cute little things that I found.
Okay.
And I don't actually remember what specific things I got. Apparently one of them's a Highland cow.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
The bundle I got was called the Emotional Wreck Bundle.
Okay, yeah.
And
is that a quokka? Quokka? What is that?
it's a capybara.
I
don't know. I don't know what it's holding. What did I get?
What? The little cow is just got his little hand up.
I think they sent me the wrong order because, like,
what else did you
I
get?
also got like a little. It was supposed to come with a little. On the website, you could adopt a pet for your pet.
Oh,
so I got.
Is that what's in his hand?
No, I got a little ducky for the pet.
What's in his hand?
I have no idea. A caterpillar?
Maybe it's it's a little red. The little capybara is holding a little red thing. Let me see.
It looks maybe like a caterpillar.
Here, trade me. This little cow is adorable.
I assumed they would have like little tags that say what they were, but there was nothing.
Just nothing.
There wasn't even a packing slip in this. I swear. Okay.
What I
thought
buddy?
I got was
You're super cute. He has no eye. Oh, there they are. His eyes are closed. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're cute.
They're very soft and adorable. Aw.
I don't know how this is the Emotional Wreck Bundle. There was supposed to be like an introverted something and a doom scrolling something, and
oh no, it's just one of those random websites that's just
duckling. Like maybe this is supposed to be the introverted. I know there's an introverted Highland cow.
Okay.
On it, and
he's cute.
Yeah,
he's very cute. He is like his fur's all crazy.
It's Highland cow fur.
I want to know what
on my email, I looked at it today because I couldn't remember what was in the package, and I knew I wanted to open the package while we recorded. But on the email, all it says is the Emotional Wreck Bundle. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the website, and they don't offer that bundle anymore. So I don't even know what I ordered. Anyway, this is a fun, random 3 a.m. purchase that I did. A little capybara and a Highland cow.
I love
with the capybara. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I don't know what he's. Maybe it's a little.
Is it like a little cell phone or caterpillar?
I mean, if caterpillars have little tails,
I don't know.
What else is new? I'm just gonna hold the little capybara for the whole recording. You had the little Highland cow now.
I got the coo.
The little coo.
What else is new?
I feel like there was just something that I was like, oh, we need to say something.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Update. Oh, my gosh. I will tell you what's new. So not last week, but the week before that, my topic was about the zombie ant fungus.
Ophiocordyceps unilateralis.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good job.
I'm not even looking at it.
I know. That's impressive. Okay. So just like 2 days after we aired that episode, I got a Google notification. Like every once in a while, they send me like news articles and stuff just based on my search history. Like, you might be interested in this. And indeed, I was very interested in this one because apparently scientists, while digging around in the basement of a university somewhere, let me open up the article and see where.
This little capybara has the tiniest little ears.
Okay, this is at the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. No, sorry. This was discovered. Okay, a paleontologist in China at the Yunnan University in China stumbled across a an ant pupa that had been encased in amber. Thank you. While he was digging through the lab's basement,
which is crazy. Like, if we look at sorry, I'm on a sidebar. Museums and stuff. They have so much stuff that's never donated or whatever, and it just never gets put on display. And it's like the Field Museum in Chicago has discovered several species of animals and stuff that were that are now extinct. That there were no samples, I guess. I don't know what specimens. Okay. Specimens. There were no specimens. They're just written recordings, and then the Field Museum's oh, what is this creature that we have taxidermied here in this box that someone donated in 1910, and it's this extinct animal that up to that point had never just been written descriptions and stuff. This is crazy how much stuff is just crammed into museum basements or storage units somewhere.
Anyway, so a paleontologist was rummaging around in a basement at the Yunnan University in China, and he finds this ant pupa.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah. So the ant had something sort of growing out of its back, and at first he thought that it was a developing wing, which ant queens and males both have. But then he took a 3D image of the fossil and found out that it was a fungus sprouting out of this ant.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. And this fungus is turned out to be a sample of the zombie fungus, the Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, that I talked about a couple weeks ago. And the fossil, this little ant pupa encased in amber, is 99 million years old.
Which is
twice as long as... So I did mention in the episode that the earliest fossil that it was found in Germany. It was an imprint of a leaf that had the distinctive bite marks of the ant that is infected by this fungus. Yeah, it was found in Germany, and that was 48 million years old. And before, very recently, that was believed to be the oldest specimen. And
that wasn't even an actual specimen. It was just proof that this thing existed at that point. And this is oh no, but it's older.
Yeah. So this article came out June 24th of this year.
Talk about synchronicity, man.
Yeah. So
when did that episode release? That was episode 30.
That would have been the 19th. So yeah,
it came out
5 days later. This article was found. So yeah,
that's nuts.
I'm not sure when the discovery was found.
Yeah, just when the article was posted.
Yeah, but yeah,
that's so crazy.
I thought that was really cool. So that's my news for the week.
That's way better than any news I have for the week. I have zero news.
Cool.
I don't have anything anything special. But that's fascinating.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And when I got the notification and read that article, I sent it to Hids and was like, what? The synchronicity of me randomly choosing that topic to talk about right now,
which
just
was
a few days before.
First topic on our podcast list ever.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that that little update.
Yeah. I feel like I was talking really loud and I apologize. But
no, you sounded perfectly fine. No, I mean you should be. That's you heard it here first. No, you didn't. But yeah, that's really cool. It's we talk about it and then update immediately.
Yeah. Anyway. I'm excited about my topic today.
Good. Go first.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. We have to roll.
The odds are, except now I've talked about it, so I'm probably going to end up going first.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited about my topic. I feel like,
Good.
I don't know.
Oh, well, I got a 19.
Oh, man.
So we'll see. If you get a 20, then you'll go first. But...
This die is not known for rolling 20s for me. Nope, it's a 4. Okay.
Great. I'm going first.
Okay.
Jim, write that down.
All right.
Oh, my gosh.
Good job, you.
Okay.
Good job. Well done.
What? I can't. Okay.
We should just let you go first all the times.
I guess that's what needs to happen.
Update. I do want to say we hit our 1,000 downloads in 30 days last week, which was a goal we've been kind of aiming for.
Yeah.
And we're over 3,000 total downloads.
Yeah. And we even hit that goal before the episode released on Thursday, which we were not expecting.
No.
We were talking about it on Wednesday night, and then later that night, we hit it.
We hit it. So thank you, everyone who listens and downloads. We appreciate you so much.
Even if you just like repeat download and put it on mute, that's helping.
It helps us.
Yeah. It's not cheating at all.
Not cheating at all.
Yeah.
No. I'm just going to keep squishing this little capybara. He's so cute.
This little Highland cat is so adorable.
Tell me your secrets.
Okay.
What is the little red creature?
It's an ant pupa. And the little thing coming out of it is the fungus.
Oh my gosh, that's the fungus. That's kind of exactly what that picture looked like.
Oh no.
Great.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
So that's not what I ordered.
That's not what you ordered,
that's what
but
the universe
the
wanted
universe
to give me.
said.
So
you get the capybara with the ant. That is a giant ant, though.
I know. Or a very, very small
Very
capybara.
small capybara. Okay. All right. What is your topic, Jess? Tell me.
Before I tell you the card I drew, I have to I have to describe the setting.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first ever medical school in Europe in the Middle Ages popped up in a southern port town in Italy. It wasn't so much a brick and mortar school, but more of a school of thought. Like it was like an informal community of masters and pupils who developed somewhat formal methods of instruction and investigation. They actually didn't write much down, and most of the teachings were passed down orally. But Salerno in Italy,
I have heard of that,
was like a hub of medical intellect.
Okay.
Pretty much. And the Scuola Medica Salernitana, so the Salerno Medical School, was based on the union between the Greco-Latin tradition and the notions acquired thanks to Arab and Jewish culture. So it was kind of like a blend of this is traditional medieval medicine
terrifying
that we know, and then we're getting these other cultures and their knowledge. And so this specific place in Italy, it was a port town, so that attributed to the
like
the growth of knowledge.
East meets West vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because of this, it just became like the place for medical knowledge. So this school, the Salerno Medical School, was also the first to allow women to both learn and teach there.
Sweet.
And now I can tell you
Okay.
that I drew the manhandled history card.
Okay. This is...
for the first time ever on this podcast, I'm going to talk about an awesome woman from history for the first time ever.
For the first...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Okay, I'm not going to tell you, but I also have an awesome woman to talk about.
That's cool.
So cool.
So yeah, this is our first time drawing the manhandled history card, though. And I do want to give a shout out to Mo for coming up with the name of this card.
Yes.
It's awesome. So this was probably one of the first ideas for a recurring card that we had and that we put in the deck. So yay, we finally drew it.
So what is manhandled history, Jess?
Manhandled history is when a woman does something cool and a man takes credit for it, or in the case of the woman I'm talking about here, she was completely erased from history for about 800 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Heckin' men.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but even now, unfortunately, not much is known about her, and she's not very well known just because of poor record keeping back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, in this particular school, knowledge was passed down orally, not so much written. There were texts written, but not a whole lot of like specific times and places and names. More like, here's what we learned.
Okay. So
yeah.
they didn't follow any kind of actual like cite your sources and
No.
tell us what you're doing
No.
and list all your sources. Well,
So
it's a good thing we do that now, I guess.
I know, I guess so. Trota of Salerno was one of a group of women physicians who studied in medieval Italy at the Scuola Medica Salernitana. Trota was both a physician and a teacher, and was one of the most famous physicians of the time.
That is nuts.
And there isn't any independent biographical information on Trota. Nothing really about her exists beyond the information that can be gleaned from writings associated with her, which also led to her being completely erased. But the information that we do have now allows us to place her sometime in the first half of the 12th century. So that's when she was around doing her thing.
I just like, I know my like thought process is skewed because of the way things are taught and everything. But like, to me, to think of a woman going to school for non-feminine pursuits.
Yeah.
You went to school as a finishing school type thing. Like,
it was a feminine pursuit in the fact that she studied women's health specifically.
But a female doctor.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you can be a nurse. You can hand the doctor things, but like you can't learn, just like, it's just that kind of vibe.
Well,
but I just like the thought of that in the 12th century kind of is like, wow.
This is medieval Italy. And women were property. They were not smart. They did not have brains. So
this is fascinating.
With the exception of this town, this city in Italy, Salerno, where women were allowed to study in this medical school. And it was great. I imagine it was great for them. I mean,
it was very forward for the time, very forward thinking for the time, progressive.
Yeah.
So we're here for it.
So in some writings, Trota is referred to as a magistra operis. Operis? I don't know Latin.
Nope.
But she was basically granted the status of a master in a way that was usually reserved for male doctors. So the female form of the word magistra was rarely documented in any of the texts at the time. Her fame spread as far as France and England in the 12th and 13th centuries. Trota's primary interest, like I said before, centered on women and how to alleviate their suffering. She wrote several medical works, which we'll get to later.
Okay.
She also gave lessons about makeup, suggested the way to be unwrinkled, remove puffiness from face and eyes, remove unwanted hair from the body, lighten the skin, hide blemishes and freckles, wash your teeth, take away any bad breath, dyeing your hair, just all kinds of things. And she emphasized cleanliness
in the 12th century.
So in addition to that, she trained her students to observe their patients, examining them thoroughly in order to prescribe proper treatment. She promoted cleanliness, a balanced diet, exercise, avoidance of any stress.
Was she a time traveler?
She might have been.
That sounds like all like new stuff, like new information.
Yeah. She's considered the world's first gynecologist and was a pioneer in women's health, advising women on conception, pregnancy, cesarean sections, and childbirth. And she also gave medical advice for treating snake bites. She had radical ideas on conception at the time. It shocked the males of the medical community.
Oh.
She believed that men and women both have physiological defects that cause conception difficulties. The women may have a defect of the womb, or the man may have a defect in the seed or his delivery.
Gasp.
So in that time, it was unusual to claim that the failure to conceive was due to a physical defect in men.
Yeah, it's always the woman's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was sort of the first to suggest that, hey, it could be either one.
Yeah. Good for her.
She also believed that women should not suffer unrelenting pain during childbirth.
What?
She advocated for the use of opiates produced by plants to dull the pain of labor, which contradicted the Christian beliefs at the time that women should suffer the pain of childbirth because of the sin of Eve.
Grumble,
Right.
grumble, grumble.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still today, women's pain is still so underdiagnosed, undertreated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
Women's health is such a hot mess.
I know.
Like, it really is.
Yeah.
That's
So
okay. She's my new hero.
I know. Women were seen as weak, inferior, and more susceptible to disease.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
And for this reason, Trota believed that women have special medical needs that can only be investigated and treated by another woman, which I kind of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, she had
She's my hero.
Yeah, and like she had her students too, and she was teaching them the same thing, female students, and yeah, she was great.
I love her. I don't know anything about her except for the last whatever you've been talking, and I love her.
I mean, just same. There's actually not much about her at all, except like, yeah. I did mention her written works earlier, and this is kind of where things start to get complicated and very. I dumbed it down a lot for my notes.
Okay.
So there was a Latin text that gathered some of her therapies and recounted one of the more famous cures that she performed into a compendium of 3 different works on women's medicine by 3 different authors. She was the author of one of them. And since Trota's work was the only one of the 3 that bore an author's name, she was credited with the whole ensemble, which was initially dubbed with the title The Trotula. Trotula? I feel like I'm saying that weird. Trotula. Trotula, which means the little work of Trota.
Little work. Okay.
Trotula.
Okay.
So the 3 books are Conditions of Women, Treatments for Women, and Women's Cosmetics. She had a hand in, you know what? I think I said she wrote one of them. I think it was a, I don't know.
Like, no, it was
There were 3 books. Yeah, it was a trilogy.
Sorry.
All 3 authors contributed to all 3 books.
Like they collaborated on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, they worked it. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
The other word, that doesn't sound like trilogy. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
As the collection began to circulate outside of southern Italy, the title Trotula was soon misunderstood as an author's name, and Trotula came to be seen as the singular author of all 3 texts in the Trotula ensemble.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first bit of confusion that led to her being completely erased from history. The Trotula works fell into the hands of George Kraut in 1544, who rearranged the 3-component text to appear as though it was authored by a single person. He also removed the mention of common names beyond the 3rd century, which led future readers and publishers to assume the text was much more ancient than it actually was. So he removed just a lot of stuff that could place it. Yeah, that could place it at a particular time period, and any other famous physicians mentioned were erased.
Dude,
I know.
Stop erasing history. I'm just going to put that out there. We're going from write that down to stop erasing what was actually written down. Come on.
In the 1560s, male academics began to suggest that an actual woman named Trota did not exist.
Of course they
Which,
did.
I mean, they were right in that
they
sense.
were
Her name was
right.
Trota.
Yeah, I mean, they were almost right. But I feel like they weren't coming at it with like, oh, this wasn't her name. She did exist. That wasn't her name. I think they were just like, no woman could
wrote this?
possibly
No
write
way.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, cat. Oh, my gosh. Sorry.
Buddy,
This little cat.
rethink your choices.
He's trying to follow his path.
I know. You
Our
can't.
sweet boy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, heaven forbid that a woman write something,
I know.
knowledgeable outside of, a recipe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Didn't write recipes down back
I know
then.
they didn't either. But,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
just being a little snarky.
Yeah. Stop messing with your mic.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Alternative theories emerged crediting a hypothetical man named Trotis, or proposing that the name came from the French verb trotter, to run about. So they're thinking that this name is a pseudonym for a male author.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later in the 16th century, a man by the name of Caspar Wolff, who acted as the next editor of Trota, changed the name from Trota to Eros, which is a male name. He also edited the grammar from feminine to masculine to agree with the name change. So he was the one that completely was like, nope, a woman couldn't have done this. I'm just going to go ahead and change.
What's this guy's name?
Caspar Wolff, which would be a fun name.
It could be a fun name, but dude, you're... Oh my gosh, sorry, this cat. I'll put this up. The other one's right there.
Oh, I can't see it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
So one of the articles...
I'm going to make this... It's got to be all about men.
I know.
Change everything. Let me just take this work that doesn't belong to me and change it all.
Yeah.
Because I'm a smart man.
One of the articles I read referred sarcastically to Caspar Wolff as a bright spark. This bright spark just erased any mention of a female being the author of these texts, or multiple females.
I dislike him greatly.
Yeah. So first, it was, the name Trota being misunderstood as being a singular author of these texts. And then it was, nope, not written by women. Yeah. So
nothing ever changes.
with that, thanks to Caspar, the original Trota became a ghost story, erased from canonical history by her translators, because a woman couldn't possibly know all of that.
Oh my gosh.
About women. It's a book on women's health.
How could she possibly know what it's like to be a woman? I'll do it. I'm a man. I know what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So how do we know about her now?
Yes. How do we know? Because you keep saying erase from history, but you're telling me about her. So
Yeah. So there was a large collection of Salernitan texts known as the Codex Salernitanus, which included the Trota. It was first brought to the notice of modern scholars in 1837. It's funny that it says modern scholars.
yeah.
In 1837. And it began to be studied in depth. So people going through these texts, trying to figure out, authorship and just studying the findings and everything. Then in the early 20th century, the Leipzig historian of medicine, Karl Sudhoff, had a stream of medical students edit or re-edit different texts from the Codex. And that sort of continued all the way up until 1985.
Okay.
When sort of the next step to reviving Trota just happened. John F. Benton was a historian at the California Institute of Technology. He discovered the Practica Secundum Trotum, which was an original part of the Trotula without all the edits. He discovered it copied in a manuscript in Madrid.
Okay.
Benton realized that the Practica had multiple overlaps with therapies ascribed to the supposed male author of the Trotula and started researching.
Okay, he's my new hero.
Well,
Oh, never mind. I cheered too soon.
Through his research, he did discover that the Trotula texts were originally the work of 3 separate 12th century writers.
Okay.
So he was able to separate it into 3 different works. He was able to, or I guess separate it into 3 different authors, and he was able to place it in the 12th century.
Okay.
Because before people thought it was way more ancient than that.
Like you said 3rd century or something. So okay.
No, I did not. But
well, no, what did you say? You said it was when the first guy messed around with it. He erased the time in 3rd century. I thought I heard 3rd century.
He removed all mention of common names beyond the 3rd century.
Oh, beyond the, okay. I did hear, okay.
So
I misunderstood
3rd century
you.
was
Okay.
in there somewhere.
Sorry. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, he was able to place it in a time and attribute it to 3 different authors. But even though the feminine name Trota was in the copy of the original manuscript he found, he still couldn't fathom that the texts were written by women and persisted in his belief that they were all male authored and had nothing to do with the real Trota.
I take back my cheer.
Yeah.
You don't get it.
One of the reasons for this is because the name Trota wasn't like, it wasn't in the context of written by Trota.
Okay.
It was in the context of Trota came and cured this woman of a disease. I think it was air in the womb or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They, back then, I forgot to mention that back then they were still operating under the belief that the body had humors.
Yeah. Oh.
All of
yes,
that.
Yeah.
So it was like a way to balance the humors and all of that stuff. So that is also the knowledge that Trota was working with.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's all that was known in the time. But she also used natural remedies and stuff to help women. So yeah, like, so she was awesome, but even her views were skewed because
they were of the
they
times.
were the only views she had at the time.
I occasionally hear people be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this horrible thing. You know, like the electroshock therapy and hydrotherapy. And
electroshock still exists.
It does. And I think it was overused, but at the time it was new and they did see some results.
Yeah.
So I don't think like we can't just say, oh my gosh, it's so horrific stupid. And they were stupid. That's what they knew. I mean, like, you know, drill a hole in your head to relieve pressure on your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, that is done. I had a friend as a child who had a hole made in their skull because they had a ton of pressure on their brain. Uh-huh. So like it is not completely and utterly barbaric, but it was probably like, here is the new cure for everything. Drill a hole in your skull. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, great. So I can see, but like if you're working with the knowledge of your time and you're trying to do good things with that knowledge, you know, I mean, if you believe that humors in the body are what's causing the problem, then that's what you work with.
And in her time, Trota was known all throughout Europe. So obviously she knew her stuff. And
she was well known.
Yeah.
Those body humors.
I know. She really knew how to balance the humors, you know?
Yeah. We call them chakras now.
No, because there were only like 4 humors, right?
Oh, I don't
And there
remember.
are 7 chakras.
We found some new ones.
And the humors are all like physical things. There's blood, bile.
Oh, that's right. I'm very
breath,
confusing. Sorry.
And balance the humors.
Yeah.
I
mean, it should be balanced. You should all balance all that stuff anyway, but.
Yeah, you want your blood to be equal to your saliva, sure.
No.
No, I know what you meant.
You know what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. Much, much later in the year 2007.
Okay. Don't say like much, much later, like from 1985 to 2007. That's not that long. It's only like 10 years. I stand by it. I said what I said.
2007, much, much later than Trota's time.
Oh, yes. Okay. I thought we were. I thought we were going from 1985 to '07, and I was like, it's not that long.
Okay.
It's fine. The 80s were still 20 years ago. Go.
Monica H. Green,
Okay.
a woman.
A woman.
She was a historian of medieval women's medicine. I said was. She is still alive.
Okay, good for her.
The currently living historian of medieval women's medicine was finally able to retrieve Trota from the oblivion into which she had fallen for 800
Yay,
years.
Monica! Whoop, whoop,
Yay.
whoop.
So Monica established the overlaps and parallels between all four texts. So she had the three Trotula texts and the original text that John Benton discovered. So she went through all of them, and she made note of any part of the text that referenced Trota's work. And she was finally able to pull all the pieces together and prove that Trota was a woman and that her skill extended to most areas of medical practice, save general surgery. So it wasn't just cosmetics and take this herb and your pregnancy will be fine. She was involved in a lot, except for surgery. There's no record of her taking part in any kind of surgical stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yay, Monica. Monica's my hero.
Yeah.
Good job, Monica.
Yeah.
Because I cannot imagine just poring over 12th century texts to find like
references.
I don't like poring over Google, and it does the work for me.
Yeah.
So it's like to cross-reference and be like, oh, well, wait, where's that parchment? I said it here somewhere. It's that one over there that I saw one brief mention. Let me go and use that to corroborate this other. Like, people who do that, hats off to you, because wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I could maybe do that for 10 minutes if I hyper-focused, but I can't control that hyper-focus. So
yeah.
Someday at 3 a.m. I'll be like, aha. And then at 4 a.m. I'll be like, what did I just read? I don't know.
What? I don't know.
I should sleep.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Okay, so she was just erased because how dare a woman be intelligent enough to?
Yeah.
Preposterous.
It's preposterous.
And then Monica's like, but it's not. Look, I'm smart.
Yeah.
I'm a historian.
And like first steps were taken by other historians, but Monica was the one to be like, no, she had knowledge of naming traditions in medieval Italy and knew that Trotula was not a name and that the name Trota exists and is a feminine name. So she was able to determine that, Trotula is not a name. It's Trota.
Right.
That's a woman. And so historians are great. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica. I love that because I've never, ever, obviously never heard of this woman.
Yeah.
And I don't, medicine is not my field. So perhaps I might have at some point, but
I mean, I don't know.
Not likely. Because it would have to be I'd have to be a medical historian like Monica to be like, oh yeah, Trota, you know her. She's pretty awesome.
I feel like if you were to go to medical school, medieval medicine is probably not what you're going to learn about.
They're going to go, look at this. Don't do this.
Don't do this.
None of this is correct.
Nuh-uh.
No. Yeah. None of this is correct.
Yeah.
So we're going to just set that aside and forget all of that.
Yeah. So, like I said, this was a very simplified version of events that led to Trota's erasure and later rediscovery. So, if you're interested in learning more, you should definitely look her up. There's, I just realized the cat did type in my doc.
Oh, okay.
Just a little X at the end of that sentence that I just read.
Trota,
Trota.
Okay.
Trota of Salerno. Salerno. Like it sounds. Trota of Salerno. And I, at first I was going to talk more about the school that existed in Salerno at the time. But then I remembered that one. Do you remember that viral, speaking of women and illnesses, that viral image that's like a list of reasons that women were institutionalized?
Yes. Oh gosh, yes.
I'm going to talk about that in our And Another Thing chat.
Good, because there's crazy
stuff on there.
She's
but
obviously insane. She's reading.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that because I found a Snopes article about it.
Oh.
And yeah.
I love
so
Snopes.
it's not completely false, but there's context that is left out of that image.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I don't know why I'm surprised that there's stuff posted on the internet without context.
I know what?
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be talking about that in our little And Another Thing after chat because I thought the Snopes article was fun, and I definitely think the list of things is worth a chuckle.
It is quite hilarious.
Yeah. But that's all I have. It was kind of a short topic for me this week, but I probably could have dove more into the specific texts and what happened to them and how they got broken up. Like there's a lot more to it than just these 3 texts. Like I could have gotten more into like how they were rearranged and other specific things that they talked about.
I feel like they went, okay, this actually is good medicine, but the cosmetic stuff, we'll go hand that off to the Glamour magazine of the time and take your pretty makeup and go. And
well,
just like,
actually, I don't know because it was chopped up by men and they were like, oh, this is important stuff that women need to know how to get rid of wrinkles. Yeah, we'll keep that around.
Keep the anti-wrinkle stuff because heaven forbid.
Yeah, but women's gynecological health, no, we don't need to know that.
That's not even a problem.
Yeah, that's not
a
thing.
made up thing.
You're hysterical.
You're crazy. Oh my god.
But yeah, I thought about diving into that research, but there's a lot of it and it was so overwhelming that I was just like, you know what? No, I have to just keep it to the very, very, very simplified basics so I can actually record this podcast on time.
Yeah.
We're already late recording, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
But
like
fascinating.
Might be worth a revisit someday or a mini episode or something.
Okay. So shout out to Monica, historian of medieval medicine,
medieval women's medicine.
I love her for finding Trota and bringing her back into history.
Yeah.
Yay.
So anyway, that's it for me. What do you have?
Well, what do I have? Okay. Well, you painted a little picture. Let me see if I can paint a little picture. Picture this.
Sicily.
1921. No. Picture this. Geneva.
Okay.
1816.
Okay.
There's a little house party going on.
Okay.
Between some radicals, some poets, some literary people.
1816. Okay.
And one of these people says, we've been telling little fun stories around our fire while we're sitting here.
I know what you're talking about.
I challenge each of you to write a book about a monster or something. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Mary Shelley.
Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
And it falls into a little bit of manhandled history.
Yeah.
Because
Cake is trying to get my cow.
Of course she is. For many, many years and still today, there are discussions on whether Mary Shelley actually wrote Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus, as she called it. Or if it was just a collaboration with her husband, although they weren't technically married at the time. So let's get into a little bit of
tell me everything.
I don't have time because let me tell you what. If you look her up on Wikipedia, you're going to get some information and it's fabulous, but it's very dry.
Oh.
So I dug in and found some articles from The Guardian and several other places. And I don't have that list in front of me right now. And then I found this one on a poetry website that OMG, the deep dive into her life.
Oh.
And I will link that because it's well worth the read. Sorry. But it's probably, I can't even go into it because it gets into kind of analyzing her writings
Oh,
what she was going through at the time of her writings and her life in general. And it just fascinating.
That's cool.
There
Yeah.
is a movie called Shelley that I would like to watch.
Oh, yeah.
That obviously is dramatized for TV, but it is got some good points and it does hit the highlights. Rather well done. It had good reviews.
Sweet.
So Mary Shelley was born August 30th of 1797. I almost said 1997. Like, she's still with us.
Wait.
Yay. Time traveler.
She's 10 years younger than me.
She, her father was a political philosopher named William Godwin, and he was pretty much a radical at the time. He had a lot of thoughts about the British politics, and he had a lot of like kind of radical, probably would be considered a liberal or a Democrat if he were alive today. He was also a prolific writer. Most of his stuff was concerning politics, although he wrote the novel Caleb Williams in 1794, which is often considered the first English detective novel.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So I was like, I would like to read that maybe. Although, considering the way some things were written in the 1700s, it would probably be, I don't know. It might be interesting. It might be very dry.
Yeah.
Very, very descriptive, I'm sure. Mary Shelley's mother was also a philosopher and a woman's right advocate. Her name was Mary Wollstonecraft. In 1792, she published a classic manifesto of sexual equality entitled A Vindication of the Rights of Women.
Cool.
So Mary had a good little unconventional family.
Yeah.
However, her mother died not long after giving birth to her. So she didn't get a lot of influence from her mother. Her mother died 11 days after giving birth.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Tragedy.
From
complications of childbirth.
Oh.
Yeah. She probably could have used some help from Trota. Yeah.
Well,
I
don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, but her dad did do a good job. He was like, she didn't really go to school, but he gave her a very informal education. But like, he was like, check out, like, he had these radical viewpoints and he encouraged her to kind of learn outside of the typical box of education.
Yeah.
He was a bit of an anarchist. So he was like, come with the system. And Mary was like, not a bad idea, Dad. But so when Mary was 4, her dad remarried, and she did not get along with her new stepmother, Mary Jane Claremont. There's a lot of Marys in this story.
Yeah.
So we have Mary Wollstonecraft, who is Mary Shelley's
mom,
mother,
and
Mary Jane Claremont, who is Mary Shelley's stepmother.
All right.
I think there's some more Marys that come in later too. It's kind of ridiculous. She was not kind of the same intellect. Like, I think she was more like, I love and would stay in my house, my family. She did do some writing, but her thing was like,
we're talking about the stepmom.
The stepmom.
Okay.
She got the dad to. Sorry, my brain just went too many Marys. You can edit that part out. So
I probably won't.
No, please do. I felt like my brain just turned off in the midst of that, and I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. So she was not. She was literary, but she was not like this kind of.
She was content not to seek higher education.
There you go.
Okay. And happy about it.
But she did get her husband. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm fine where I'm at.
Yeah.
She did get her husband to open a publishing house. So she was interested. Cool. She did have interest in literary pursuits, but not really writing of her own. So she did that.
Okay.
She did publish some children's books.
Cute.
But she was worried, like she felt a little threatened by Mary because this is her husband's only child.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I don't, I want you to pay attention to me and my kids that we now have.
Mm-hmm.
And as Mary grew up, she looked more and more like her mom.
Uh-huh.
And so Mary Jane says, we're going to send you to boarding school. Off you go. Shoo.
See, now I was having all the sympathies for the stepmom who's just trying her best. I'm like,
but
well,
yeah,
maybe
they didn't really get along, and she was a little jealous of the affection between the, parent and child, and she just was like, I'm going to send you to Scotland for your health, and you can learn a little more.
For your health. Okay.
And and it just kind of isolated her, and then
sorry.
You okay over there? Okay. Oh, I was like, what was that sound?
We're getting TikTok videos.
Oh, okay. More Stray Kids videos. Yeah. All the Stray Kids. But this time in Scotland did kind of feed Mary's imagination, for her books and for her writings.
Yeah.
So it was good in a way. It kind of influenced her that way.
Yeah.
But it did kind of pull her away from her dad, which is sad.
Yeah.
In 1814, Mary met Percy Bysshe. I've heard it both ways, and I meant to look it up and confirm. But Percy Shelley, who was one of her father's political followers and friends. And the problem was that Percy was married and Mary was 16.
Oh, no.
However, let's just put those two things aside and it comes back later. But
yeah, of course it would.
So Percy and Mary and Mary's stepsister Claire left England, went to France, traveled through Europe, and had just a wonderful time. And then they came back and Mary was like, look, this is Percy's child.
Oh.
So they had a rough time of it. They were ostracized. They were constantly in debt. And then her daughter was born prematurely and died a short time later.
Oh, sad.
So second tragedy of Mary's life.
Mm-hmm.
In 1816, the third tragedy of Mary's life happens when Percy's wife commits suicide.
Oh my goodness.
But then that allows Percy and Mary to marry each other.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of crazy because Percy Shelley is kind of he followed his Mary's father, kind of these anarchy views and kind of a open relationship type thing.
Right.
He was like, hey, you know what? You should go hang out with my friend over there. He thinks you're cute. And he was like,
okay.
Mary, go, it's fine. Go have an affair. And she was like, I don't really want to.
Mm-hmm.
But she did become friends with that guy, but they did not have an affair that I could find.
Oh, that was an actual example from real life?
Yes. Yeah. He was free love and all, babe. Let's go. Go ahead.
Well, how does his wife feel about all that?
His wife apparently did not care for it because 2 years after he met Mary, she ended her own life.
Yeah.
I didn't dive into her story a whole lot because like I said, there's so much here.
Yeah. Frank Lloyd Wright vibes.
Yeah, there's a lot of, but I will say the one thing I noticed, he might have been a bit of a scoundrel, but he did love Mary.
Mm-hmm.
He was just kind of open relationship.
He also
type.
loved a lot of other people too.
Quite possibly he did. Claire being one of them.
Yeah.
Mary's stepsister that went on this grand trip around Europe with them.
Oh.
But Mary adored him.
Uh-huh.
Her kind of her goal in life was to get his works published and help him become famous.
Wow.
And even I have a quote later on after he dies, there's a little bit that she wrote in her journal and she's just how sad she was over the loss of him. So I'm she truly, truly loved him.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I said, I didn't deep dive into his side of things, but it did seem like he cared for her. He just kind of had the idea of an open relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
So that being said, she was 16.
Yeah. There's also
but
that.
she did seem to be mature for her age. Like she knew kind of what was going on and stuff.
He wasn't like grooming her.
Yeah, no. I think like the one clip of the Netflix movie that I watched, he's talking with her and he's like, so how old are you? And she's like, old enough to know why you're asking that question.
Oh.
And I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
And I realized like that's a Netflix movie. It probably didn't happen. But yeah, she was aware of, what was going on. So 1816 is when they go with Lord Byron and John William Polidori to Geneva, Switzerland. And they're spending time there. And they're this whole time that they're there is kind of just different literary people are passing through. And there's just like discussions and philosophical. Oh my gosh. Philosophical discussions and all this kind of, back and forth. And they're talking about their different writings and everything. Mm-hmm. So, and that's when she conceived the idea of Frankenstein, which I think is like.
I heard somewhere that they were actually in quarantine.
So I had heard that, but nothing that I read said that.
Interesting. Where did I don't even remember where I heard it.
That came out. It was like, it kind of went viral like in 2020, 21.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember Mary Shelley wrote her, you can do something while you're in quarantine.
Yeah, she wrote Frankenstein in quarantine.
Yeah. And like, I didn't find out.
Just in Switzerland.
I didn't hear anything about quarantine. I mean,
okay.
It's possible and it just didn't get put in here. But I was on multiple websites and I never saw anything about them being in quarantine.
Interesting. Okay.
This was just a bunch of hippies. 1818 hippies.
That's
what it sounds like. It's a writers' conference. There you go. Okay. Oh, this
where
was
we talk about food metaphors.
A lie on a lie on another lie.
A lie sandwich.
We are referencing the excellent Edgar Allan Poe's Murder Mystery Dinner on YouTube by Shipwrecked Comedy. And you should definitely check it out.
Mary Shelley is one of the characters. So.
In that, she says, she gives a quick eulogy. And they're like, oh, you certainly had that ready. And she's like, I'm just really good at eulogies.
Yeah.
So reading her history, she's really good at eulogies because she had a lot of deaths in her life.
Oh, sad.
And it made me like, I love that the group that wrote that put that little nod to her life in there. I'm just really good at eulogies.
Yeah.
And it's because she had, her first child died shortly after being prematurely born. Mm-hmm. Her second and third children also died not long after they were born. And she actually only had one child who stayed alive to like have a life.
That's sad.
And she actually was able to see him married at 22. So there is happiness there. Because after in 18, I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit because I just like, I was like going to be very kind of put this in order and put this in, but I knew we would kind of go back and forth with the talking.
Oh, yeah.
And I just like, it just feels more us than going like straight timeline. In 1822, Percy Shelley died. He was on a sailboat with, I think the Polidori guy. Oh, I didn't write down the other guy's name.
Oh.
Anyway, he died and was found, his body washed up on the shore. Aww. So another tragedy. And she was very, very upset with this. And she basically went on and devoted herself to raising their son and kind of becoming a professional author. So she, after her son was born, I'm going to go find where I put that name. Sorry about this.
That's okay.
This is what I get for not being all. I have what I want to say highlighted, but there are multiple highlights. And I have like 9 pages of notes. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Okay, sorry about that.
No
we need
worries.
like some weird little elevator music to throw in there. So
I'm on a elevator.
Can we get the rights to do that?
No.
So Percy Shelley, his dad, Sir Timothy, was not a great guy. He was upset about a lot of things that happened between his son and Mary and their lifestyle, even though he was like a proponent of free love as well. He was just like, well, it's free love for them, but you, what are you doing here? You know, right. So he kind of cut them off. And this kind of led, like, when Percy was cut off, he was used to living a good lifestyle. And now he's like, so they spent a lot of time in debt and kind of going back and forth between making money and not making money. And anyway, after Percy Shelley died, his dad was like, you can't publish this. Mary had published...
Can't publish what?
In 1824, Mary published posthumous poems, which were poetry of Percy Shelley's.
Okay.
And her dad was not, or his dad, Percy Shelley's dad, was not happy.
Percy?
Percy.
Okay.
I cannot make the words. I'm so sorry. I'm struggling with the words today.
Okay, so Percy's dad
was not happy.
Did not want his son's poems published.
and or any of his writings. And he was like, if you publish any more of his stuff, I'm cutting you off completely. And
why?
Because he's like, I'm not even going to support my grandson. And Mary's like, all I care about is taking care of my son. And he was like, also, I'm going to take your grandson and raise him as my own child. And she's like, no, sir, you are not.
Wow.
And like, she had to fight to keep her child.
Wow.
Her own child.
Mm-hmm.
But she did. Right. She was like, I know, right? You're unfit. You don't have a husband. How dare you live? She fought and fought to keep her son and eventually did. And eventually Sir Timothy says, I'm going to give you £100 a year, to take care of this child. I don't know what that was in 1823.
I was just going to ask.
I didn't look it up. I'm sorry. It did go up a little bit until by 1841, he was giving her £400 a year.
Oh, okay.
So that means it was okay. But during this time, Mary is like, okay, I need to make money, so I'm going to write. And she actually became a travel writer, almost by mistake. Huh. But she almost kind of invented this new form of the genre. Travel writing was a thing, but it was very dry and like, if you go here, you must see this and da 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 da. And Mary was like, I have one of the little quotes that she wrote, which I thought was kind of cool. So it was said that she would bring, like, she would describe the place, but also like the person, like as if you were there. So she says, those whose youth has been passed as theirs in pursuing, like the swallow, the inconstant summer of delight and beauty which invests this visible world, will perhaps find some entertainment in following the author with her husband and friend on foot through part of France and Switzerland, and in sailing with her down the castled Rhine through scenes beautiful in themselves, but which, since she visited them, a great poet has clothed with the freshness of a diviner nature.
Wow.
So if you're, a chill person, you can just follow us as we go traveling down the river here. It just was like, she just kind of painted this scene and then like invited you in. And that was not the typical travel writing of the time.
Yeah.
She, the great poet she mentioned is in reference to her husband. And so she like pulls him in at every point that she can. And references his works and references, like, she was totally in love with him. And he was like, during his life, he was like, Mary, keep writing. You write well, like, keep doing this. So she does have a lot of published work. She is most well known for Frankenstein because she started it in 1816 and this little adventure in Geneva, and it was finished and published it was finally published in 1818.
Oh, 2 years.
It was actually published on New Year's Day.
Cool.
She had already published a couple things. A History of 6 Weeks appeared in November of 1817. And that was kind of a little story of Mary, Percy, and Claire's trip around Europe.
Aw.
And that kind of established the travel writing. So, yeah.
So that was just 2 months before Frankenstein was published.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just like that came out, and then Frankenstein came out, and it was kind of like, wow, this is fascinating. This is great. And it kind of took off. But again, she wasn't really credited as the author there.
Yeah.
And the one article that I found was someone who was like really diving in to why the title of the article is Frankenstein at 200. And this is an older article. Why hasn't Mary Shelley been given the respect she deserves? And there's been a lot of back and forth debate on why.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things is, of course, a woman couldn't come up with this fantastical, well thought out insight.
Sci-fi story.
Well, story like that goes into the deeper insight and psyche of a crazed man.
Yeah.
So,
and also medical stuff.
Scientific stuff. Science fiction didn't exist. And like the term scientist really didn't exist.
Yeah.
So like, but there were a lot of professional amateurs. Like there were a couple times. Professional amateurs. There were a couple times where people were like, they would just go, look, we can put an electrical current through a dead body. This is what it does. And like they would literally just set up somewhere in a town, invite people in, and then you could kind of go back and forth with your theories and your thoughts. And then they like encouraged this kind of amateur science-y experimentation stuff, which is like terrifying. But because somebody was like, so I did this and that and this, and I found out this, and therefore I know all about this. People were like, oh, yeah, they know what they're talking about. And so like, it's kind of a terrifying like thought process there.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who was actually a professional, someone who actually studied this and that was their life's work, and then who just like had a really good idea and ran with it, whether it was a good idea or not. But Frankenstein also has a lot of notes, like the original manuscript has a lot of notes from Percy. But like initially they're like, well, obviously he's making all these notes in the margins that he's collaborating on this. But
he's just a beta reader.
Literally, it says that if you look at it, it is line editing at its finest. They're like, this is just line editing. He's just helping her with grammar and like continuity and that sort of thing. Like there's he did not write this. She wrote this. So yeah, it's a struggle though, because of course, like this fabulous book couldn't possibly, and then there's like, well, she had just read this other book. I just looked at this paragraph. Sorry, there's a lot of dead air in here. That's my brain.
Fine.
There we go. She had just read like the Tempest, which in that one there is the kind of half human figure of Caliban who was created by Pygmalion.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, she's just doing that. And then there was like another one about metamorphosis, where Aphrodite is kind of helps create this human for someone else. And she's like, but that's not what my story. That's not what Frankenstein is.
Yeah.
It's someone who is so like focused and full on himself that he believes he can create life from death.
He can reanimate a corpse.
And it goes deep in like I said, there's a lot of information. I didn't want to get into the full analytics of everything, but there are like echoes of different stories that might have influenced it, but like it is her imagination.
Yeah.
It is her.
And artists draw inspiration from a
everywhere.
whole lot of places.
Yeah, 100%.
So-
Like there's nothing new under the sun. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, I'm going to write this new story that's never been written before. Well, it's been done.
Yeah.
It's been done. Like you're just going to give it a different spin.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Because somebody's going to be absolutely in love with the spin that you put on it.
Exactly. And like Frankenstein, we get so much Frankenstein. I mean, you have Rocky Horror Picture Show, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. You have Frankenstein the movie, Young Frankenstein. Like he has become prolific.
Yeah.
The story of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I would love Mary Shelley to see how prolific her story has become. Like I don't know anyone that like if you said, oh, Frankenstein, they'd be like, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that. Or like it would be hard.
Don't know anyone that would say I don't know that.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said you don't know anyone.
I don't know anyone.
Say, oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I mean, like if you said it, people recognize it. It's kind of household name, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool. Like if we could do a little time travel, bring her up here and be like, look,
yeah,
we love you. You're famous. But yeah, she had this imagination. I mean, she was 18 when she wrote this. And I'm like, oh, my imagination at 18 was out there. Like it was like, I should have written stuff down.
Yeah.
But she did. That was like her big work. But she is also well known for a lot of other things. She loved Italy, and a lot of her travel writing is kind of Italian focused and kind of about the different times. And this was during a time like a lot of English people were a little nervous to travel because of war.
Yeah.
I think Napoleon was mentioned. Yeah. The Napoleonic Wars were kind of disrupting travel and everything. So they were like, yes, tell us more about the Italian countryside that we want to go visit, but we can't because it's too dangerous, So she's like writing these travel books and became quite well known for them. So after Byron died, and this was one of the things, or not Byron, Percy. Sorry. After Percy died, she was overcome with grief. And one of her, the poet website that I found has such an in-depth, like, analysis of the different styles of her writing. And like, they talk about her memoir or her journal entries and her letters. And they said like in that time period, people who wrote journals wrote them with a view to publishing them, and people who wrote like people who wrote letters wrote them with the view that they would be collected and published, like as part of their life. Which is like, don't read my letters, but she had some like that they say like you could tell some of them were kind of written more in a literary style, and then some were more personal, like just like shorthand or simplifying words and sentences, because this was somebody that she was writing to that was a close friend, and they, text
chatting.
THX instead of writing out thank you, that sort of thing. But
thanks. I don't say that in my head when
I don't say it in my head. I say thanks, but it just comes out, or write lols. When I type LOL, I say lol.
Lol. Yeah.
And sometimes I catch myself almost saying that out loud, and I'm like, did we say that out loud? I don't know. I can't keep up.
I'm pretty sure LOL is not even a thing anymore.
Oh,
with the young kids.
Yeah, it's like skibbity. No, that's bad.
I don't know.
Young people, weigh in. What do you say? You don't have to tell us. It's fine.
They don't
listen.
They don't communicate at all. That's.
They just roll their eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
Bet. That's what they say.
Oh man, no cap. Oh man. Okay, so and this was, I want to read this little bit that she wrote in her journal. There was she was very good about journal keeping, but after Shelley, Shelley, I was going to say the wrong name.
Percy,
after Percy died, like there's a 3-month gap where she didn't write anything in her journal.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, right? Like I can't be bothered. The one man I love in this whole world is gone. But she writes this, and I thought it was really, I like the way it's very verbose. I just like the feeling behind it. And so I'll read it. It says, "For 8 years I communicated with unlimited freedom with one whose genius, far transcending mine, awakened and guided my thoughts. I conversed with him, rectified my errors of judgment, obtained new lights from him, and my mind was satisfied. Now I am alone. Oh, how alone! The stars may behold my tears, and the wind drink my sights, but my thoughts are a sealed treasure, which I can confide to none. But can I express all I feel? Can I give words to thoughts and feelings that as a tempest hurry me along? Is this the sand that the ever-flowing sea of thought would impress indelibly? Alas, I am alone." And I just, it was just such a touching thing because they had such a tragic life. Like, she had such a tragic life, but through it all, like, she just loved her husband so much.
Yeah.
And from all that I could find, he loved her.
Mm-hmm.
Just as deeply and encouraged her writing and encouraged her to, always strive for higher and higher, like quality work and everything. Aww. So I just thought that was a sweet thing. And it was a thing I didn't know about her. I mean, like, I honestly didn't know a lot about Mary Shelley at all. I definitely did not know, like, so many tragedies in her life.
Yeah.
That just like, oh, this poor woman, just like constantly just people dying, her children dying. Mm-hmm. But there is some good news. I'm going to end with the good news. In 1826, Sir Timothy, Percy's dad, he died. Wait, no, I'm sorry. In 1826, sorry, good news. I'm gonna mess this up. So in 1826, Percy Shelley's son by his first wife passed away, and he was the heir to Sir Timothy's title. So once he passed away, Percy, Mary's son, became the heir. So at age 7, he became a baron.
Wow.
So he became Sir Percy.
Aw, that's cool.
And once again, she had means to travel, and she like traveled with her son and his like school friends. Like they just traveled around, and she would write, awesome. And he like did his school stuff. And then in 18, I want to get the date right. This one paragraph has like 50 dates in it. June 22nd of 1848, Sir Percy Shelley was married, and Mary Shelley was at the wedding, and she was like, yay, my son, who she devoted so much of her life to taking care of, is married. He's a baron, and he gets to have a good life. Mm-hmm. And she's very happy with this. And in 1851, Mary Shelley died at the age of 53.
Oh, that's young.
Very young. She did have some health issues here and there, and they think that there was like a brain tumor that kind of sped her death along. So, wow. But yeah, just kind of a tragic little life, and but also like some really nice moments. And like even through all the tragedy, just like she had, her husband for a while, and then she had her son, and she had love and light, and she worked hard to be the best she could. Aww. And I just feel like it's frustrating that there's an argument that, she couldn't possibly have written such a fantastic book.
Which confuses me because, I don't know, maybe I just grew up in the right time, because even before I really knew who Mary Shelley was, if you asked me who wrote Frankenstein, I would say Mary Shelley.
Yeah. Same. Same. I'm like, oh yeah, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That's how you know it. Yeah. It's like all one word.
Yeah, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
It's all the title, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. But I've learned that there has been a lot of debate over the centuries of did she write it, or did did Percy write it, and then she like, I'll wait and add my name on it and stuff. But she wrote it. He helped her edit it, and it was published, and she did get to see it published. And then some of her later books were like in the preface, it would be from the author of Frankenstein. Like she started putting that in, which I thought, I'm like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
You go, put that in there. So yeah, I can just sit here and read. Like I've been reading multiple articles all weekend, and I'm like, there's so much stuff. I don't know what all to do.
Yeah. We should watch that movie though.
I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked good. It did look good, but yes. And it did get like decent reviews as far as like from people who know Mary Shelley's life. It was like, oh yeah, it got most of it right. So It's like, okay, if it got most of it right, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
in a Netflix
in a
dramatization. Yeah. But yeah, I liked it. I liked learning more about her.
Yeah.
And I just thought I liked that they, in like the Edgar Allan Poe, the show we mentioned earlier, the little bit about the eulogy, I was just like, oh, I thought that was just kind of a fun little, because she had kind of a gothic vibes. Like, I'm just really good at eulogies. I was like, oh no, because she had so much tragedy in her life at very young ages, at a very young age. And it's just kind of a neat little head tilt or head nod to that. But yeah, she seemed like she just had a wild life. But yeah, a good one, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
Despite all the tragedy, she died peacefully, and she got to see her one son, survive and live a happy, get married and have a family. So
yeah, he's set.
He's a baron. Yeah, he's a baron. Yeah. I didn't look up anything on him, so I hope he did. I'm just going to go with, if I don't know it was a terrible life, he had a good life.
Yeah.
So.
We'll say it's a good life.
We'll say he had a good life.
Yeah.
For her sake. She worked so hard for him. And
yeah,
I love that, like, her father-in-law was like, we're going to take him because you're unfit. And she's like, oh, no, you're not. I'd rather live in, poorness than be supported poverty. That's sort of. I'd rather live in poverty than, you take my son.
Yeah.
And he relented, and he was like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of money to take care of him.
Yeah.
So two awesome women in this podcast episode. Other
Trota
than us, I mean.
and Mary Shelley. I know, other than us.
Other than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trota is fascinating.
Yeah.
I had no idea that even she existed.
Yeah, me either.
What led you to pick her for your manhandled history card?
I took such a long time to decide. That's why I've been like late with my notes. And of course, when I decided, I was like set, and then realized how
small,
confusing. Well, it was just like confusing with what happened to the text and what exactly led to her being erased, and then what led to her being rediscovered. And there was just so much. But like, once I decided I was going to talk about her, I was like, okay, no, I just have to do the research now. And
how did you find her?
So I found her. I just started with a basic Google search of women overlooked in history.
Okay. Did you get like 50 billion
women
pages?
whose legacy or inventions or whatever were claimed by men. There are a lot of lists, and you'll see like a lot of recurring names, like hidden figures.
Yes.
I was gonna do her, and then the woman who invented the modern bra. Yeah, she actually seemed like she led an interesting life. Well, I'll save her for later. I won't even say the name,
say the name
because I don't remember it. But
I guess that's how the notes go. You focus on one thing. So.
I found several just list articles about women overlooked in history, and only one of them mentioned Trota.
Oh,
so that's why. And I was like, usually the type of women on the lists were scientific discoveries, and things like that, which are going to make awesome episodes in the future.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But once I found medieval woman in medicine, I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about Trota. So yeah, that she stood out to me among many, many lists.
Yeah. The lists are long and prolific, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's so cool.
But yeah.
Because I'm like, how, if she's so, I want to say vague. That's not the right word.
She's unknown.
Unknown.
Yeah.
But you're like, she's very unknown, but here I am. I just wanted to know how you found her. So,
yeah.
So like of all the lists, she was on one of them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Trota and Monica, whose last name I forgot.
Green.
Monica Green.
Monica H. Green.
Thank you, Monica, for finding all about Trota and restoring her name.
Yeah. Restoring her femininity.
Yeah.
Feminineness is
femininity.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mary Shelley.
Shout out to Mary.
For being imaginative and...
being the mother of sci-fi.
Like, the mother of sci-fi.
Yeah.
For real.
Man.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch. I think... Do you know, I don't think I've actually ever read Frankenstein the book.
I have not. I think I have it on my Kindle.
I'm going to get it, and I'm going to add it to that little stack of books that I also haven't read that includes Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Which is somewhere on this shelf behind me. So. I have this, I'm getting this little stack of like books of like, that What's the vampire one?
Dracula?
Thank you. Dracula and Camilla.
So like, yeah.
Camilla.
Yeah.
Or
so
Carmilla.
Like Carmilla. Yeah. Classic literature that you always hear about, you always reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I read Picture of Dorian Gray. That's actually one of my favorites.
So I've only read like a very short, like TLDR version of that. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. I would like to actually read the full book.
It's a good book. And I should read it again, but like I read it, I think I was in high school. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have a little series of books that were like short versions of the classics. And then when I actually I've read that book, and then I find the actual book and I'm like, I haven't read that book.
Yeah.
I have not read that. I read the highlights version of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, Dorian Gray is one of my favorites. Treasure Island is one of my favorites.
Treasure. And I have read the full Treasure Island and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a classic. And
I read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I see again, I think I've read the short version of that.
It is a short. It's short.
Okay, so maybe I have read it.
It's not like a huge tome.
Oh, okay. So then I probably
it's actually quite
read
short, and there's nothing about him turning into a monster. It seems more like a dual personality situation. Yeah.
Okay, I want to read it again. I'm gonna have to do a little Amazon shopping.
Yeah.
I feel like I want those books in my hand to read them.
I know, and like I also want to read Dracula and Frankenstein and just all the other classic sort of monster books.
I love monster books.
Yeah.
We need to watch some Vincent Price.
Yeah.
I just had that thought.
Long.
Yeah, I know. It's like we haven't watched any Vincent Price in a while.
Anyway.
War
members.
Oh
no, we need to draw cards.
Wow, we forgot how to podcast.
How does our podcast work again?
How do we podcast? Okay.
How do we podcast?
Oh, I have the cards over here.
Okay, while you're setting those out.
Are you going to do your war member?
No, I'm going to do the spiel
about
where to find us.
Oh, yeah. How do we podcast?
I don't know. We obviously need help. If you would like to help us financially, you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/JessandHids. We've got lots of fun tiers there, and you can join for as little as $3 a month. Or if you pay for a full year, that's only $30. You can get awesome perks for $30 for the whole year. And you can also find us, all the relevant links to all of our social medias and everything on our website at jessandhids.com. And yeah, you should follow us. You should sign up for our newsletter. We came up with some fun new ideas for the future, and we're really excited about it. If you want to know more about us and what we're about, we don't just podcast. We're also trying to write books and get them published, and we run D&D games for our patrons. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. You should
all kinds of fun stuff. And if you would like to listen to us talk a little more, we have another thing,
which is a Patreon perk that we like right after we end this episode, we're going to record extra bits for our patrons. So I already mentioned I'm talking about the weird and crazy reasons women were institutionalized and kind of the story behind that viral image of the list.
Sweet.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. We'll figure it out on the way.
Cool.
I'm going to talk some more about Mary
Extra
Shelley.
stuff. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, bonus content. Join our Patreon.
Draw some cards.
Okay. Yes. Let's draw.
You go.
Okay.
Also, we have a running count of who gets to go first. Or who goes first.
I draw first all the time because we decided that whoever talks first draws the cards first.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's great. I think I like it when you go first because I feel like I'm always like manic that I'm not like my brain's gonna turn off and I'm gonna be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And so you like warm it up for me.
Okay.
Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah. This is gonna be fun. Okay.
This is gonna be fun.
I'll say it's cool that I drew this card.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. That's the only hint you're going to get.
I'm excited for the card, which I have drawn as well. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you missed it.
You just had his little head rest.
It's just right up against her butt.
Cat is so weird.
Zirin, our little white cat, is sort of laying next to Cake, the big chocolate lab we've got. And I don't know if he misjudged where he was laying, but he wound up with his face like right against her.
I'm going to lay here and put
right
my
at the
face
top of
into
her tail. Yeah.
He's such a little dork. Anyway, what's your warm ember? Let's wrap it up with warm embers.
My warm ember is the fact that Steph got to go to the Stray Kids concert.
No, that's mine.
Aw.
No, yours is that she got to go. Mine is that
I was going to expand on that. Don't take it.
Okay.
She Marco Polo'd us videos the whole time,
concert.
like of every single song. I think it was every single song.
Yeah, almost every song. Like it was amazing.
Yeah. It was great.
Thank you, Steph.
Like all through Sunday dinner, we both had Marco Polo open and just like, sorry, fam, we gotta listen to this. Everybody, shut up.
We're just gonna listen to this Stray Kids
and
song.
then all through the D&D game we had afterwards,
we're just like, we're gonna mute for a minute. Sorry.
But my warm ember is that we sort of got to experience the concert vicariously through Steph,
and just
that's
like
amazing.
Yeah, it was so great. I was feeling that too. I was just like, I feel like that's like been the highlight of my weekend.
Yeah.
And like, she sent us on her road trip with her daughter and just like, and then on their way back. And so it was just kind of a whole little weekend that we got to experience like without leaving home or spending any money. But it was, the concert was really fabulous. Like it was great to watch it. I couldn't imagine being there.
I know.
So we're
Stray
gonna
Kids,
share.
if you're listening.
What?
They totally listen to this.
Yeah, they totally listen. If we get a download in Korea, I'm going to be like,
Well, I think they're on their way to France right now. So
no, they're going home.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. They have like a couple weeks off. I don't know. It's not. I don't stalk them or anything.
They're just in my newsfeed. I just saw like they're on the plane going home.
Aww.
Like it's cute. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's our warm ember. Our warm ember is Steph, who's one of our patrons, and she also runs some of our RPG games for us on occasion. So and she's just a really good friend.
Yeah. Yay, Steph and Aubrey
and Obs,
her daughter.
Yeah.
Our internet nieceling.
Yeah. But I guess that we shared our warm ember, which is the point of warm embers, is to share them. So perfect.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. We're gonna go do another thing, and then we'll go do whatever we're doing after that.
Pies. We have to go make pies tonight. Yep.
So if you would like to help us, patreon.com/JessandHids.
Yeah. All right. Also share your warm members with us if you have them. Yeah.
We love
because we love hearing about other people's happy moments.
Happy moments.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Talk at you next week.
Bye.
Bye.